Our mission is to educate and advocate for children and youth in their mental health journey. We work all over the state, grades 5 through 12, and we teach children what is normal adolescent behavior or feelings, and then what is something that could be leading into a crisis or a disorder. We give them an actual visual which shows them how the spectrum runs. But more than that, we talk about suicide prevention and awareness. We talk about stigma, because our biggest goal is to eradicate the stigma that's associated with mental health. We were founded in 2012. To date, we've served over 25,000 children across the state in 11 counties. This year alone, we served over 3,300 children. You know, the mental health of our children is so important because the mental health of our adults are important. And what we're seeing, and interestingly, in this generation especially, is more children are savvier about their mental health because of social media and the information that they have access to. We never had that in our generations. It was always sort of swept under the rug, don't air your dirty laundry in public, all of those things. But childhood trauma, what they call ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences, which could be divorce, poverty, abuse, neglect, molestation, emotional abuse, those things that happen to children when they're little stay with us all of our lives if they are not resolved and dealt with. And as adults, we then see incarceration, alcoholism, drug abuse, all of the terrible negative things, or simply just, if you don't go to the extremes of the self-medication route, simply repeating the patterns that were repeated in your life because of generational poverty or generational trauma. So early intervention is where we're at. We need to get to the children earlier and earlier so they grow to be healthy adults. Stigma shows around mental health in myriad ways. There's cultural stigma, there is religious or spiritual stigma, there is simply ignorant stigma. You know, if someone is not educated and understand what adverse mental health does to a person, we see it in bullying in schools, we see it with parents not feeling comfortable or not wanting their child to open up to them, not out of lack of love, but out of fear, because no parents are equipped to know this stuff and to be able to help their child without parents getting help to steer their children. And so it's brush it under the rug, or it's ignore it, or, oh, that's just normal adolescent behavior, or it's hormonal, don't worry about it, everybody goes through it, and kind of shuts the child down and turns off the conversation. The other thing is the reverse of stigma, which is social media now. There are groups that encourage kids who have specific disorders to almost be in contest with each other. If a child is thinking of suicide or planning suicide and they research suicide, youth suicide online, they can enter into these very bad, scary chat rooms where it's, if you don't have a plan yet, you're not brave. You need a plan, and you need to, and they're actually pushed to go through with a suicide attempt. Same thing with eating disorders. You know, anorexia, bulimia. There are all kinds of chat rooms out there that kids can access that push them towards these disorders and actually support the disorder as opposed to supporting health. The most important things that children and parents both can do to support each other is to get right with the dialogue. Get comfortable. Say to your child, are you thinking of hurting yourself? If you see signs that your child is withdrawing, if they're in their room constantly, if they're not being as social with friends, if their grades are going down, if they're not eating, if they're sleeping an inordinate amount of time, these are all signs that a child is experiencing depression. They could be experiencing an anxiety disorder. And especially now after COVID, when so many kids have gone through an extended period of isolation, they're not used to socializing again. They have to almost learn that skill. And so parents need to push children to be more social, to get out of the house, to get off of the phone and the computer and do healthy things, do their hobbies, do their sports. But conversation is singularly the best thing that a parent can do with a child. And I have had parents say to me, I don't want to ask my child if they're thinking of hurting themselves because it'll give them the idea. Study after study after study has proven this is a fallacy. You will never give a child the idea to commit suicide. If they're on that track, they've already got it. And children as young as 5 are now cognizant of suicide. I just read about a 5-year-old who hung herself from her ceiling fan in her bedroom 3 weeks ago in another state. 5 years old. We are in a national crisis. The mental health of children and adults, that is almost a personal answer that I'm going to give you, because I am a true believer in social media, over the top, and tech time really hurting our children. I think children need to go back to being outdoors. Structured free time also hurts children in excess, because children need the ability to just be alone and be creative, especially little children, and to work on their imagination skills and those types of things. When we structure children's free time, that just adds stress and anxiety to them, because even though we look at it as a play date, it is actually one more thing they have to do. That's how they look at it. Children need freedom. Children need unsupervised time. I think the other thing that we can do as a nation is absolutely incorporate mental health education into the schools, because that's where kids spend most of their time. That's where a lot of mental health challenges and journeys begin to evidence themselves, because teachers will notice a child's grades are falling or they're withdrawing from activities and sports. And so teachers can often spot something before a parent can, even though parents live with them. And we also need to educate and help education staff. We need to help teachers know how to spot these things in children and open the dialogue, because let's face it, children need a trusted adult. And if it's not a parent, it could be a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be the librarian, it could be a lunch lady, it could be their best friend or their best friend's mother. But the point is, encourage every child to have a safe adult.
Hi, my name is Ann Hager, and I'm running Fearless at 60. This July, I will be 60, and I am running a full marathon, 26.2 miles. Most of my life, I've been a runner, and I had a goal where I've done 9 marathons, and I wanted to do a 10th and final marathon. And initially, I was going to dedicate it to my brother Charles, who's an avid runner. And back when he was an avid runner, he was going to head out to London, and he had an anaphylactic attack. So unfortunately, he didn't get to go out to London to run. So my plan was to do my 10th final marathon in London. But then COVID hit and all the restrictions, so it didn't allow me to go out. So this winter, I was on my treadmill thinking, well, what can I do? And God put in my heart, why not run your 10th and final marathon here in New Mexico, where I grew up, and design my own course and raise awareness for mental illness and anxiety. So many people deal with mental illness and anxiety, and I do, and my family, and lots of people that I know have battled, and I thought this would be a great way to make awareness. So what I'm going to do is start off in the North Valley at my brother's house, at park right in his house, the brother Charles that I'm dedicating it to. I'm going to run from the North Valley into Rio Rancho and around the Cabazon community where we live, and then head down to Corrales and finish at my sister Lucille, her house over in Corrales on Camino de Lucia. And this will be on July 23rd at 6 a.m. And so I'm pretty excited about this, that I'm also partnering up with Breaking the Silence New Mexico. They're an amazing nonprofit that help young children to adults that deal with mental illness and anxiety. They have an amazing program, and so all our proceeds are going to go to this organization. I'm hoping that you all can be part of this. We're at our tail end of ordering t-shirts, so if you want to do that, you need to get in contact with me very soon, this next week, or just simply want to donate. You can reach out to me and donate on our page. We're so excited to create this, and I'm so excited to be running. I need support just as far as if you want to be at a motivation station to cheer me on. And more importantly, I need lots of prayer. The training has been very, very challenging, and but you have fun, but just keep praying for me and let me know how you want to help. I am so excited about this mission that I'm on, and I know that God putting this on my heart is going to get me to the finish line. So I can't wait to hear from all of you. Thank you so much.